secret internal reports and memos by one of George Soros's left-wing front groups reveals the socialist billionaire's subversive reach within the Obama administration, the United Nations, and the governing structures European Union, especially as it relates to the manufactured refugee migration crisis. Among the many noteworthy points made by Soros activists in one report is the assertion that the migrant-refugee tsunami that has already swamped Europe with 1–2 million Muslim migrants should be accepted as the new normal. This is not surprising, but it is alarming. It is not surprising because for many years Soros and his minions have been in the vanguard of the open borders migration lobby. It is alarming because the radical migration rights agenda of the Soros network is being translated into official policy, nationally and globally. A May 12, 2016 report of the International Migration Institute, IMI, an official project of Soros's Open Society Foundations, OSF, provides an important window to view the working relationships among the IMI refugee activists and their allies inside the Obama administration and the United Nations. The 9-page report, by top IMI staffers Anna Crowley and Kate Rosine, entitled Migration Governance and Enforcement Portfolio Review, is one of many Soros OSF documents released this week by DCLeaks.com. Which describes itself as a project launched by the American hacktivists who believe U.S. citizens have the right to know how domestic and foreign policies of the United States are shaped and who the real policymaker is. Quite clearly, when it comes to migrant-refugee policy, Soros and his fellow globalists are the real policymakers. Soros staffers Crowley and Rosine call for accepting the current crisis as the new normal and moving beyond the need to react. Their report also provides revealing details on the Soros/IMI/OSF relationship to Goldman Sachs titan Peter Sutherland, the UN's top globalist agent in charge of designing and implementing the UN's chaos-producing migration programs. The Columbia Global Policy Initiative, CGPI, which hosts the Secretariat for Peter Sutherland, the UN Secretary-General's Special Representative on International Migration, has been able to take advantage of momentum created by the current crisis to shape conversations about rethinking migration governance, write Crowley and Rosine in the leaked report. The Soros staffers continue, noting the key role played by their IMI think tank. IMI provided project support for the drafting of the Sutherland Report, which aims to set the stage for institutional reforms to global migration governance, and to break new ground on protections for migrants outside the asylum system. The Soros-IMI report continues. When we made the CGPI grant, even we were somewhat skeptical about the appetite for reform of the institutions that govern elements of migration at the international level, and the pace at which it might proceed. Nonetheless, we recognized the importance of starting this discussion, and the political capital Sutherland could leverage to bring high-level attention to the issue. This gamble has arguably paid off. As the September UN and President Obama's summits on migrants and refugees have taken shape, Sutherland's team has effectively drawn on work and thinking it had already done to influence the scope and deliverables of these two meetings. How effective has the Soros-Sutherland tag team been? Crowley and Rosine say. IMI's access to the Sutherland team's discussions has allowed us to keep civil society partners up to date on the latest developments, in order to inform advocacy and campaigning strategies prior to the events and to plan follow-up actions. CGPI's elite-level behind-the-scenes advocacy through Peter Sutherland has positioned its team of experts to influence policy and practical follow-up to global events. This has been complemented by MPI's, Migration Policy Institute's, neutral voice and ability to generate the policy-relevant research and evidence base needed to shape migration debates. This pairing has worked well, and there is a natural collaboration between the experts that both centers engage. First, a few important notes about the above-mentioned Peter Sutherland. While not a household name, he is very well known in the corridors of power, and he is having an impact on almost every household on the planet. As we reported here last October, Insider Peter Sutherland, EU-US must take more refugees, get rid of sovereignty. Peter Sutherland is an insider's insider. He epitomizes the uber-rich, globalist corporatist elite. Here is a partial listing of his internationalist credentials. Until this past June, Sutherland was chairman of Goldman Sachs International, the global banking behemoth known to critics as the vampire squid for its predatory, corrupt practices. He is a regular attendee and former steering committee member of the ultra-secretive, ultra-elite Bilderberg Group. He was European chairman of the Trilateral Commission. He is past chairman of British Petroleum, BP. He is honorary president of the Transatlantic Policy Network, TPN, one of the principal corporatist insider organizations promoting EU-US merger through the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, TTIP. As a principal architect of the WTO, he has been hailed as the father of globalization, and as a top bureaucrat, he played a lead role in destroying national sovereignty by replacing national currencies, and national monetary control, with the euro, as well as engineering the borderless Europe, which the current migrant crisis is now proving to have been so destructive. In addition, Sutherland and Soros both sit on the advisory board of the Global Policy Institute, GPI, a leading think tank promoting world government under the guise of global governance. Sutherland forecast much of his current UN refugee agenda in an essay for the GPI journal, Global Policy, in February 2010, entitled, "The Age of Mobility, Can We Make Migration Work for All?" It is worth noting that the Columbia Global Policy Initiative, CGPI, which the Soros report mentions funding and collaborating with, refers to the organization established at Columbia University that has become a leading force for the radical migration agenda. The CGPI is run by Professor Michael Doyle, who, naturally, is a member of the World Government Promoting Council on Foreign Relations, CFR. Other prominent CFR members on the CGPI directory include Jeffrey Sachs, Joseph Stiglitz, Carol Gluck, and Lee Bollinger. Stay tuned for more revelations from the leaked Soros